Employment is one of the things that has made many people become poor. It doesn't matter how much you earn from employment. The point is, you need to realize that the system wants you to keep on working for them so that you can never reveal the potentials you carry. Like I always say, employment is the opium of the poor. What do I mean? Poverty is not a lack of money. Poverty is a lack or inability to think straight on what is truly the reality of the matter. But systems want to make you busy so that you can keep on thinking about income, about what it establishes. But at the end of the day, it never reveals the hidden realities or the truth about what it should be. So today I just want to speak about something here that is very crucial so that we can be able to establish something that is fundamental, something that will enable each one of us to create a perception that will deliver us from what systems have been trying to do. Look at the billionaires, the multimillionaires, all these people. They are people that are working for them. What do I mean? Is it bad for people to work for other people? No. But they've understood that you need to leverage, to let people work for you so that you can become. I came to one understanding that if you let people become a part of you, not in your life, but a part of your life, you will be able to see results. And most of the wealthiest people, they don't go for the 70%. They always go for the 30%. Because 30% is what makes them become who they are in this moment. Imagine having 1,000 people working for you and you only need 30% from each one of them. Who is the fool? You have to understand that we have every ability to become whatever we want in this life. We have all the potentials to become whatever we want. So remember, employment will keep you busy for someone else. But the question is, for how long will you work for people? At the end of the day, you're going to retire. After retirement, what will happen? They will give you your pension and all those things. That is what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, you will never see the reality of the matter. Because true wealth is when you use your head right. So today I want to talk about the illusion of money, what you were never told. The illusion of money, what you were never told. So what do I mean? Remember, money is not real. Money is not real. Yes, sounds controversial, but money is not real. Because money is not the papers that you put in your wallet. That is just a piece of paper that has been given value for you to think that is money. Not in the way you were taught. And that is why I want to bring it so that you understand that money is not the papers that you chase, the papers that you want for the rest of your working hours and all that. It can buy you a car. Those papers can buy you a car, a home, or even followers online. That is what happens. But money is a tool, not a source. Money is not a source. So I came up with some few points whereby I need to establish something so that we can both be illuminated. When I understood that money is a tool, that is the moment I woke from my dreams and I became the reality that I was, the truth that I was. So money is a tool, not a source. It reflects power, but it's not power itself. Money reflects power. Look at the most powerful people. They are wealthy. But money in itself, it is not power. But because of what the value we've put in money, it has made us think that the people that have it, they're powerful and all that. But money in itself, it's not powerful. It has no power. Remember, the Bible tells us that money answers all things. So the question is this: is it the paper? When the Bible talks about money answers all things, was it talking about papers back in the days? In the old days of the Bible, when it was written, was it talking about, the papers that we try to chase nowadays? It was talking about the exchange of value. The exchange of value. But many people don't want to accept that reality. So money reflects value, but it can never define you. Remember, money does not define you, but it reflects value. It reveals value, but it can never define you. It doesn't define you. But many people want to be defined by money. And that is why you'll see there are people who work for money, and there are people that money works for them. Let me give you an example. You see a poor person, he works for money and his stomach. And we also see an average person. He works for money, and then at the end of the day, he wants to buy a car, he wants to have a mortgage. And we have the rich. The rich, they work for money, and they will show off whatever they have. And we have the wealthy. The wealthy are not proved by what they have materially. They are proved by the ability to think, to have wisdom, and on how they can establish ecosystems so that it can bring value to systems and the world at large. What do I mean? Money works for the wealthy. The wealthy never works for money. So I want you to understand that money in today's modern day is a religion, because people tend to worship it. People tend to desire it more. And you know what? It is you and I that came up with the idea of money. But why are we chasing it? We are chasing it because systems have closed certain doors and given it a certain value, whereby now, by creating employment, people can begin to think that the only thing they need is the piece of paper. But it has never been like that. So money has become a false god in this generation. And that is why young people will do anything. They are joining certain platforms to just engage themselves in evil things, so that they can begin to get, some little money here and there. But remember, for the love of money is the root cause of all evil. For the love of the value that has been put on that paper is the root cause of all evil. You know what I mean? So money is a false god. It has replaced identity, worship, and trust with numbers in your account. That is what has happened. You begin to trust the numbers that are in your account more than the reality of what money is. Because money is not the numbers you have. Money is not the paper that you have in your house, that paper that you have in your wallet. No. Remember, you were born into a system that made money your God. That is what the rulers of this world are doing. They have made sure that you believe that money is your God, that without money you can become nothing. Look at what happens with employment. They take you to school. They want to educate you. They will say, education is free, which is okay, it is good. But the question is this: after you've completed your university, your college, and whatever, they give you a piece of paper. They call it a certificate. At the end of the day, what happens? They try to make you think through employment is where you're going to earn something. I look at our country and I see young people, graduates of all kinds, from various positions of life. Some of them, they lack job opportunities because their minds were institutionalized, or basically their minds were made to think that whatever they required is for them to be in school. So this person grows thinking that employment is everything. Remember, like I said, employment is the opium of the poor. You have to look within yourself to find a proper guiding to where you want to be in this life. So they've also made fear become your motivation. Without a job, I don't know how I'm going to be. Without employment, I don't know how it will be. Without money, I don't know what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, my brother and my sister, I want to let you know that whatever you've been seeking and whatever you've been looking for, it is within you. So that's not prosperity. When it comes to that, it is never prosperity. That is bondage. That is bondage. So I want to begin with the very points that I did put down. Point number one, money doesn't make you rich. Wisdom does. Let me read something. A fool with $10 million is still a fool. We've seen people out here, very wealthy, having all monies in this world. But most of these people, what happens? They're just fools with the money. Why? Let me give you an example. In America, there was this garbage man who won a lot of money in dollars. And after a few years, that money was finished. And then he went back to being a garbage man. He bought expensive cars when he had that money. He bought expensive houses, but he never invested wisely. So the point is, that was a fool with money. He never knew how to put things into perspective. And he never understood how things should be and they should run. So it is important to be in a place of knowledge so that you can function with wisdom. Money doesn't make you rich, you have to understand. Wisdom does. So the rich you see today, most of them successful, most of them, you know what has happened to them? They are financially illiterate and emotionally bankrupt. These are people that are struggling, most of them. They tend to be in a cocoon, trying to live a life that is not theirs. They will show you on their social platforms how they're flourishing and thriving, but at the end of the day, there is nothing that is tangible with them. So my brothers and my sisters, I want to let you know, the beauty of existing is in wisdom. You can only get what you want when wisdom is applied rightly. But many people, what do they want to do? They just want to have money so that they can invest in something, they can do something. It is not about money, my brothers and my sisters, because money does not make you rich. Wisdom does. So money amplifies what you are. It doesn't change what you are not. If you were a fool, it reveals how foolish you are. If you were arrogant, it reveals how arrogant you are. If you are, not a humble person, that is what money will reveal. If you're a selfish person, that is what money will reveal. But many people tend to think that people with money are arrogant. They are arrogant because money is revealing their character. Money is revealing their true nature of how they exist in the lives of people. Today I was learning something, but that for you to win, you have to be ruthless. And then I got something that caught my attention. The ruthlessness, it is not about fighting people and unaliving people. It is all about acting in the place of wisdom in the right way, so that now things can begin to change in your world. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. So remember, money does not make you rich, wisdom does. So it takes us to number 2. You don't work for money, you work for meaning. What do I mean? We have the people who call themselves the Jews. Do you know what they do? They never chase money. These people don't chase money. What do? They chase meaning. They create ecosystems of value. That is what they do. Just like in Dubai, we see the king of Dubai. They knew very well they have, crude oil. They have oil. And what did they do? They invested back to their city. And Dubai has become one of the greatest tourist attractions in the world, because they knew in some time or in due time, the oil will be finished. So we want to make Dubai become one of the greatest cities in the world, where people can visit, where people can come and enjoy themselves. And today we can see what Dubai has become. So people with wisdom create ecosystems of value. where people can get it right and enjoy themselves and build a futuristic development where generations and generations can benefit from it. What do I mean? These people understand wealth isn't about earning through sweat alone. So many people, we've been taught that you have to work hard. That is what we are taught. You need to work hard for you to get money. But remember the Jews, these people, I'm talking about the Jews. The Jews understand that it is not through sweat alone that you get to earn money, but through what? I may ask, let me answer you. Through intellect, relationships, and covenantal thinking. You know, I sat down and I figured out how people get wealthy and all that. And these three things caught my attention: intellect, relationships, and covenantal thinking. So, what is intellect? Intellect is basically the wisdom, the ability to have knowledge that will enable you to become that person that you've always wanted. But many people have not gotten to that place. So there are people that have gone to school, but they lack wisdom. There are people that have been to great universities and all that, but they lack the ability to become, the ability to showcase their potentials. Why? Because they're still living a life that has no meaning, a life that has no dependence on what is true and definite. So my brothers and my sisters, I want to let you know, through intellect, relationships, and covenantal thinking, people will begin to follow you. People will begin to look for you. And money will always look for you. Why? Because you're not working for money, but you're working for meaning. You are trying to create value in your life. So if you create value, if you build value, if you nurture value, you will see the truth that I'm talking about. So my point at this particular moment is to let you know that you need to work for meaning, not just for money. So these people study, they build or create networks, teach their children and partners, families, not just employees. That is what these people do. They invest in themselves through studying. And remember, the Bible tells us, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Remember, I'm not trying to be religious here, but all I'm doing is to bring a kingdom mindset, not a religious mindset. So peel the skin of religion and remove it from this platform so that you can be able to learn. So these people study, they build networks, teach their children and partners, families, not just employees. And that is why these people continue to be wealthy. They become wealthy and wealthy and wealthy each and every day. Remember, true wealth is multi-generational. It thinks in legacies, not paychecks. It thinks, oh God, I love this. It thinks in legacies, not paychecks. Look at our brothers, the Indian brothers and sisters. They invest in their families. Like the Jews, that is what they do. They will employ their own family and give them the structures of how the business is run. At the end of the day, you'll get to see that that very business will continue to be for the rest of its life. And you'll get to see a company that was opened from 1885, 1755, 1655, all the way to 1445. Why? Because even in today, that establishment becomes a legacy in itself, whereby the people working under it are becoming better and better. So a wise person creates ecosystems of value where people, nations, families, or anyone that becomes a part of that system, they get to gain and they get to see the visible structure of it, and they win in life. I learned something the other day, that becoming ruthless is one of the things, like I was saying, but ruthlessness that is directed by wisdom. And it is very fundamental. And it is very crucial for us to be a part of that reality. So true wealth is multi-generational. It thinks in legacies, not paychecks. So we go to point number 3. Most people don't want money. They want validation. Remember, I said money is an illusion. Money is an illusion. So most people don't want money. They want validation. So what do I mean? If people really wanted money, they'd be content with managing it well. If people really wanted money, they'd be content with managing it well. So, but what they crave is to feel important, look successful, and prove others wrong. But most people are not willing to get into the place of having that value that will enable them to become. So if people really wanted money, they'd be content with managing it well. But people don't want money. They want validation. They want people to look at them like, we have money. This is what I have. That is why we see the politicians. They go above and yonder, stealing from people. They don't care. They will do whatever they want to do, because at the end of the day, that is what they want to achieve. And they want to do it because that is the way they want to be, to become in this life. So, but what they crave is to feel important, look successful, and prove others wrong. That is what poor people do. They want to prove other people wrong. And poor people, remember, a poor person is not based on the lack of money. No. Poverty is not a lack of money. Poverty is a lack of acting in the wisdom that is within you. So these kinds of people, they just want validation. It is because they lack the ability to become. They lack the ability to reveal the reality and the true nature of what money is. So remember, that's not financial vision. That's unhealed trauma with a debit card. Unhealed trauma. So poor people who are trying to show themselves in this life so that they can win the validations of other people. Let me give you an example. Poor people work for money and their stomach. The average work for money and have a mortgage, buy a car, have a good family, and provides the food, shelter, and clothing. And the rich work for money so that they can win validation. I have money. They will show it on social platforms. But remember, we have the wealthy. The wealthy are full of wisdom, and they've structured their lives in a way people will begin to gain from them, because they will give directions that will lead people to prosperity. So what happens? They've created ecosystems of value whereby people can begin to benefit also. And what happens? Money looks for them. So they never work for money. What happens? Money works for them. That is what the wealthy do. So wealth is not determined by how much money you have, but by the ability of using the wisdom and the knowledge that you've acquired in time. So remember, acting to win validation, it is not a financial vision. That's unhealed trauma with a debit card. We go to point number 4. Poverty isn't just a lack of money. It's a lack of understanding. I think I've said that over and over, even from the previous points. Poverty isn't just a lack of money. It's a lack of understanding. I want to make it clear. Poverty is the byproduct of systems and mental defaults passed from generation to generation. Look at what our governments are doing. They will create systems whereby we tend to think we are benefiting, but we are losing. The beauty of it all is that when people begin to awaken, the governments and the systems begin to suppress them. And that is why I'm coming here to bring something that is tangible so that people can begin to think with their heads and think straight so that they can acquire that which has never been a part of them. So poverty has been inherited with so many people. Remember, poverty in itself is the byproduct of systems and mental defaults. What you've been taught over and over, and you get to see many people function on the basis of poverty. And in that very moment, they get to lose who they are. They get to lose their ability to become. So you can remove someone from a poor home, but if you don't remove the scarcity mindset, they'll recreate poverty again. Yes, when you create opportunities for these kinds of people, remember you have to create opportunities that will establish something that is fundamental. But unfortunately, what happens is that you can remove someone from the ghetto, but most of these people, you can never remove the ghetto out of them. And that is why it is important to have a wealthy mind, whereby you get to understand, if I get into this environment, I need to function as per the environment I'm in, so that you can be able to be transformed. Let me give an example with the chameleon. If you put a chameleon in a red shirt, it's going to change that color, to change into that color. What do I mean? Change is, change in itself is inevitable and it is constant. So you have to be very, very intentional. When you're taken from this environment to another environment, you should begin to understand that you need to change and act accordingly to how things are run on the other side. So remember, poverty has been inherited because the kind of people that have been in poverty lack the ability to function right in the positions they are given. And that is why poverty has become one of the in thing in our society, in our systems, in our cultures, in all our ways of life. The poor man's wisdom is despised. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 16. Remember, a poor man's wisdom is despised. I remember a story in the Bible. There was this poor person who rescued a city. He had some wisdom, and he took it to the king. Like, you know what? The city is going to be attacked. At the end of the day, what happened? He rescued that city, and that city became free from the enemy, and the enemy was defeated. So what do I mean? You can have all the wisdom, but you'll still be despised if you're poor. So remember, money answers all things, and money reflects a kind of value that I think it is very crucial for us to be part of. Why? Because poverty robs you of your voice. Poverty will rob you of your voice. That is why, like we've seen with our current situation in Kenya, we can see the young people are really trying to fight the system. And because of lack of money, because of lack of value, the governments and the systems with its tools of war, they tend to demoralize the functions of the young people. Why? Because they don't want the young people to speak. That is what governments do. They shut you down so that you cannot speak. And they keep on making you believe in their promises that will never be fulfilled. Point number 5. The system was built to keep you in debt. Yes, look at our governments. They will tell you, we have a loan, we have a debt of this amount. This is what we're supposed to pay. And they will keep on telling you that you need to pay your taxes. And if you don't get to pay it, you're going to be, something is just going to happen that is not right. So loans, credit cards, flashy offers, it's not abundance, it's a trap. That is what the government will do. Government will only promise, they will never fulfill. They will go to countries, they will go to world banks and take money from there. And they will bring it to our system, our nations. And what will they do? Generation after generation, they will say that they need to pay money. But remember, there are no debts, but they want to create that we have debts. They want to put it in our heads that this is what we need to pay. But at the end of the day, these people are getting wealthier and wealthier each day by our ignorances. So what am I trying to say? These people, they trained us to spend before you build. They trained us to spend. You have to spend to build. To borrow before you learn. And to consume before you create. That is what they do. And it is important for you to be trained before you build. You have to get to a place of being trained. That is why we have people out here in the world. And in this day and age, we have information that I think it is paramount for us to be a part of it. so that we can learn and we can build and we can become. So we have to also be in a place of learning before we borrow. Yeah, we have to create also before we consume. That is what is needed. So the system profits more from your ignorance than your freedom. Just like I've said, the system profits more. When you keep quiet, when a nation keeps quiet, yeah, the system itself benefits, governments benefits. But when you speak, like what the Gen Z were doing, they were speaking and raising their voices because that is what it should be. And the government now becomes it becomes fearful because now it gets to see that a generation is being awakened. And you know what? Governments and all that, they will always want you people to be quiet so that it can benefit from your ignorance. Proverbs 22 verse 7, the borrower is a slave to the lender. The borrower is a slave to the lender. So remember, it is crucial for us to be in a place of growing and becoming. And it is one of the things that we need to change. Point number 6, the Jews know what we don't. I'm talking about the Jews because there's something that I've learned from them. And I'm going to read a few points here. Money isn't everything. That is what they know. Money is not everything. But it follows everything, built with order and vision. That is what these people do because they know money is not everything. Money is an illusion. People have created and people have made money to have value. But these people, what do they do? They create ecosystems of value. And money follows everything built with order and vision. So the other point is education is wealth. Children are assets, not liabilities. So education is wealth. So what you learn today, you're going to invest it in your children, and your children will invest it in your children's children. And then at the end of the day, there will be a generational blessing from what you learned. And from that, remember, children are assets, not liabilities. The people you bring into this world, they are assets, not liabilities. Look at us millennials. Our parents treated us like liabilities. We were taken advantage of. And today, some of us are not where we were supposed to be. So remember, community comes before currency. So that is relationship. Community comes before currency. No one rises alone. People should be a part of each other. In order for you to grow, you need to be in a relationship or in relationships, and you need to rise beyond what you've ever thought. Today I was just telling someone, and I was speaking to them and telling them, your mind needs to see beyond what your eyes can see, because your eyes only limits what your mind can see far above. Remember, the sky is not the limit. We just have the clouds where they are. There is just a part of it above the clouds. So Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 8, the Lord will command the blessing upon you in your storehouses. Storehouses, not just hands, storehouses. What do I mean? Where you are as a part of a family, community, and relationships that you have, you'll begin to see great things happen. The Lord commands a blessing. Where there is unity, He commands a blessing. Point number 7. I only have 8 points. Point number 7. Health is wealth. Literally. So this is one of the things that these the Jewish people know. Health is wealth. What's the point of 100 million if you're dying at 50? So you need to work on yourself. That is why we have gymnasiums where people go so that they can just be fit and all that. They check on their health. Don't just eat on these fast foods and expect to have a good life. Eat healthy, not just good. Eat right, not just good. So what's the point of you having all that money and you're unhealthy? The Jewish approach to food is disciplined, not decorative. For us, what do? We run for food that looks good, but we don't go for food that is healthy. That is why most of us are struggling to have a good body. Having a small body doesn't mean you're healthy. Having a big body doesn't mean you're healthy. It means that you need to see what is right for you to consume so that you can have a better life. The beauty of this life is to be healthy and wealthy. It is very important. So they treat the body as a sacred, they treat the body sacred because how you treat your vessel reflects how you value. Let me take a glass of water. Oh yes, oh yes. Sorry about that. So the Jewish people, they treat the body as sacred because how you treat your vessel reflects how you value your purpose. They rest, observe those days. Not everything is hustle. And I have to let you know, there are things that you need to observe in this life. You need to find rest. And we all know that our rest, our Sabbath, is Jesus Christ himself. For us as believers, for those that are believers in Christ, you need to understand that Christ is our Sabbath and we rest in Christ. So also literally, you need to find some time and just get to rest so that you can enjoy the beauty of the wealth that you have. Matthew chapter 4 verse 4, man shall not live by bread alone. Man shall not live by bread. You shall not live by only money, by the things that you accumulate on this earth. You shall live by understanding that good health is also wealth. So you need more than income. You need intake spiritually, emotionally, and physically. That is what is required. But what we see nowadays is another way of living. And I think it's important for us to structure our way of becoming so that we can get to see the benefits of greater deals in our lives. In conclusion, point number 8, if money owns you, you are not wealthy. If money owns you, you are not wealthy. True kingdom wealth is when you own money, not when money owns your peace. We've seen people that are working for money and money owns them. They will show off the kind of riches they have because money owns them and money directs them and leads them. They will bow to money. But in reality, money needs to bow to you. Money needs to be controlled by you, because true kingdom wealth is when you own money, not the other way around. If you panic every time you check your balance, you are a slave, not a steward. Have you ever seen those people always trying to check what they have in their bank account? That is what they do. Remember, these are the kind of people that are walking in poverty. In the kingdom, you don't chase money. Money follows your assignment. You don't beg for money or for breakthrough. You build on principles. You don't fear tomorrow. You understand seasons. So in conclusion and in finality, money is real, but the way we've been taught about it is a lie. Religion made you fear not giving. The world made you feel incomplete without it. But the kingdom teaches you to manage it, multiply it, and never be mastered by it. Until you deconstruct the illusion, you'll stay broke, even if you earn millions. I want you to know one thing. Money is an illusion. And you were never told this, but you need to break that identity that has been taught, the illusion that has been put in us, so that we can break free from brokenness, from every kind of poverty that is in order in every other part of our lives. We can become whatever we desire if we change our way of thinking.